Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Outta Savannah. I am so excited to be here. My guest, Tai Goodwin, is here, and she is going to tell you who she is and what she does and how she can be of service to you. So, Tai, take it away. So, Ty is going to tell you a little bit about who she is and what it is that she does and how she can be of service to you. So, Ty, take it away.
Well, I am Tai Goodwin. I am a vision midwife, a liberation coach, and a visibility strategist. And what I get to do is I help experts, healers, coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs. I help them expand their vision and their visibility so they can have a bigger impact into this world. I decided to use my superpowers for good.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. So, what did you do in the past that you could transfer into this beautiful space?
Yeah, I spent the last 6 years building a marketing agency,
Okay.
doing lead generation, building quizzes for people, marketing automation, love that stuff. But at the end of last year, I decided I wanted to bring more of what I wanted to see into the world. And that was helping people who are like me, the healers, the guides, the wise women. We need more visibility. We need to be seen more because of all the things that are happening right now in the world. It's time for us to take center stage. And now I get to help us do that.
That is so powerful because, you and I talked in the green room and we were talking about how, I had made that shift as well. And it was something that I already wanted to do always. When I started, I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But I let fear kind of get in the way of, going all in, is what I say. Coming
Mhm.
out of the spiritual closet, that's what it was for me. Because it was like, okay, I want to interview the witchy people and I want to interview, the healers and the channelers, and the mediums and the psychics, I want to interview and talk to these people. And so I made that shift last year and I started doing that as well. I said, I'm going to interview spiritual entrepreneurs because I started looking around and I didn't see a lot of people interviewing us,
Mhm.
and I love to have the conversations. So I felt like it was a win-win. So when you decided to make that shift, into helping that particular group, how do you feel it affected your business?
Well, first I had to come out of my own kind of spiritual closet, so to speak. And what I mean by that, I'm a big believer of practicing what I teach. I have never been one of those marketing people where I'm going to show you how to make six figures because I watched a video on YouTube and now I'm going to tell you how to do it. Like, I hate that. But there's so much of that, that's out there right now. I practice what I teach, and I could not continue to tell my clients to show up authentically and share your truths and, build these authentic brands and relationships. And then I stay quiet about who I am and what I wanted to be recognized as in the marketplace. And so I have to go first. So I have to start speaking my truth and telling my story and building my personal brand.
Mm,
And now I can take what I've learned and take what I'm doing, and I can duplicate that in the work that we do with our clients.
that's so powerful because, a lot of times, so many of us, and I'm going to say us, so many of us um, struggle in that area, and I know that one of the reasons why many of us struggle in that area is because, of the religion that we were brought up in, branded and brainwashed and manipulation and all of those things. And so, um, to me, once you get that out of the way, it opens up a lot more doors for you authentically.
Yeah.
Can you speak
Yeah.
on that?
Well, absolutely. I call it sacred shackles, Tammy. A lot
Yes.
of the
Oh, I
beliefs.
like that.
Yeah, and that's one of our signature topics because I'm also speaking, now, and that's one of the things we talk about, like sacred shackles, like those beliefs that we were brought up in. And I was just talking to our group. We have a mastermind called Audience and Authority, and I was just talking to them the other night about how, a lot of our religious beliefs teach us to have imposter syndrome. right?
Yes.
You can't, you got to be humble. You can't really talk about who you are. And to be clear, I see the imposter syndrome as something different. Like people say, oh, it's you feeling like you're an imposter because you feel like
No.
you can't do it. And I say it's the opposite for some of us. Imposter syndrome is us dumbing our light down
Yes.
because we're afraid of somebody being mad at us. They're not going to like us. They're going to challenge us, or, somebody's going to, be offended because I think
Yes.
I'm
That
this.
part.
That's being an imposter too.
Yes, it
Right.
is.
And we're taught that because we want to be humble. We don't want to call attention to
Don't
ourselves,
stand out.
Yeah. And that's no way to, it's not the way if you really want to have bigger impact and you really want to get your message out there. In this market, you cannot be that way. You have to own every inch of your brilliance. And
Yes.
you have to be willing to speak up, to advocate for yourself, to advocate for other people. And that's not going to happen if you're shackled to these old beliefs that say you have to
Yes.
play small and you can't show up and be who you are.
Yes. I love that. I have a friend that says, what did she say? Speak up, speak out, speak often.
I
Think
like it.
yes. Yeah. And I thought that was great, because that's really, to me, is truly authentic, because when you're doing that, it takes you to a place, and it also allows people to see you and connect with you in a
Mhm.
way that is no other way possible,
It also, yeah, it also allows people to see themselves.
Yes,
I've,
yes,
I've started writing about, my experience of deconverting from Christianity, which,
yes,
shocked some people. And even now people be like, oh my gosh, you just started this journey. I'm like, I've been on a journey for 20 years,
yes.
of deconverting. That was when I first threw out all the Bibles. Like literally I threw them out.
I saw that post.
Yeah, right. And so people are like, oh, you're just starting. No, we're not just starting this. But the reality of it is that there are a lot of us, there are a lot of women my age, 50 and over, who have realized that we kind of been duped.
Yep.
We kind of, all the stuff that we were told to believe and made to feel about who we are, how we connect spiritually, it has not been working, has not given us the freedom, the joy, the
No.
peace that we
Made
seek.
us miserable is what it did.
It's very oppressive. It's very, very oppressive when you, like I said, it's sacred shackles, right?
Yes.
The book promised us freedom, but it actually shackled us to stuff that just
Yes.
did not work.
I was gonna say, and so much, the more that I study, because like I said, I still read the Bible, but I read a few different versions. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? It's not like the only thing that I read.
mhm,
But I actually have like an apocrypha one that I got, and I started looking through that a little bit, and that is very interesting. I have
mhm.
read the lost books, and I actually had a copy of them years ago. But yeah, had a situation, and so I don't have it anymore. But I left it in a storage, and you know how that
Yeah.
goes. Kids
Yeah.
don't even
Well,
believe in that. But
well,
yeah, so okay.
I was gonna say good for you for reading and digging into that. I think that's one of the things that, we talk about in liberation coaching, we talk about the 5 steps, right, to
Yeah,
really getting free. And the first step is curiosity.
yeah,
And that's where my journey started with this whole thing. As I was like, well, and why I threw away the Bibles is because I'm like, there has to be something different. Like this isn't working. And
yeah.
my simple prayer at the time was, I want to know you for myself.
Yes,
That was it. And the
yes,
question was, why isn't this working?
yes.
Right. I was going to church. I was
I'm
heavily
doing all the
church,
things.
well, of doing all the things, and not
We
just for
were
me.
too, me and my
Yeah.
children,
Yeah. Not just
and
for you.
my ex-husband.
Yeah. Well, for all the, uh, sorry, for
Girl,
all the
we worked
women.
in ministry, and
Uh-huh.
we worked in ministry. Our children worked in ministry.
Yeah. I
And
was,
every time you turn around, brother so and so, sister so and so, can y'all, we need help, something, 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 something. We were servants.
listen, I was servant, I was praying, I was choir, worship team,
All
prayer
that.
band, I did
Same.
all. But
Yeah,
what got me was I realized that every Sunday, and I was dealing with a lot of depression, had, some abuse things in the
yeah,
background, and
yeah.
none of the prayer, none of the fasting, none of all that stuff was working. But then
Right.
I looked around and I realized that the other women that I was in church with, it was the same thing. Like every Sunday, Lord, help my husband. Lord, help my job, help my finances. My car broke, my kids acting up. Every single Sunday, the
You guys
same
are altar.
prayers. And I'm like,
Mhm.
are you kidding me? Like, we've been doing this for how long? Like, come
Look,
on. And
and
so
how about the people before us?
oh, exactly. Because I watched my mother and my grandmother, like we watch all these people do the same thing. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
there's something not right. Or my favorite way of saying it, the math is not mathing right with this.
Well,
Like it's adding
if
up.
you think about it, it's insanity. We keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And then, then
It
if you
just
step out
doesn't,
of line, what?
it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I just got tired and I said, you know what? I'm not totally saying that I'm not believing in you, but I'm saying I don't believe in this.
Yeah,
So I want to know you for myself. And I was willing to do the work, and so
yeah,
I started reading, I started asking more questions. I
yes,
started learning about different things. I started trusting myself more. Because
yes,
that's one of my pet peeves with Christianity, which is the religion that I came out of, is that they teach you lean not to your own understanding, right? So you're taught not to trust yourself.
yes.
And so that was a huge thing of how do I step back in and trust my intuition? How do I step back in and learn to listen, to myself?
Because they taught us that God was outside of us
Oh, absolutely.
instead of we are really God. We're God. God is inside of
Yeah,
us.
it's in us.
So
And yeah,
they did not want to salute our divinity. In the words of Florence Scovel Shinn, they did not want
mm-mm,
to salute our divinity,
yeah,
especially not us, brown people, black
yeah.
people.
That's a whole other
It's a
thing.
whole nother,
I've been
we could probably do an hour on that.
Oh my goodness. Well, I shared this. I watched this video somebody shared with me. And I'm going to paraphrase what I heard the guy say. So I didn't make this quote up, but I heard him say it and it blew me away. He said, so here's Christianity. And what you want me to do is you want me to ask for salvation and expect salvation from the same God who told me to obey my masters while they were abusing and killing my family.
Mhm.
That's deep.
It is because
That
it's
is
like,
so deep. The
how can
same
you make
person
that
who said,
math?
yeah, exactly. The same person who told me to obey my masters is the same person you now want me to place my life on and ask that same person for salvation. I said, wow, never thought of it that way. But
But you
it's
like
mind
this.
chilling when you think about it.
It is because I used to tell people, I said, I love God, but I ain't no Christian. I said, because to me, what Christians are is the people that hung our behinds on the trees in the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
I said that was my mind of that. And so I was like, no, I'm not,
Hmm.
I can't go there
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Now, do I love some good gospel music? Yes, I do.
Listen, I'm never going to stop loving Fred Hammond and his
That's what I'm
voice. Right?
saying.
Never going to stop loving Fred Hammond.
Girl, I was listening to him the other night. I will trust
Yeah.
because those are
And we
things,
can take, when we're listening to our own wisdom and we're really doing the work, we can take some of that, right? The energy
Yes,
of it,
yes.
the spirit of some of it, and we can also spit out the bones,
That's how
and
my
that comes
grandmother
with
used to
maturity.
say. My grandmother used to say that all the time.
Hmm.
She said to me one day, I never forget it. She said, Tammy, eat the meat and spit out the bones.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
used to say, at first I was like, duh, why would you eat the bones? But, but
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. It's like, but we can do that in everything,
we can.
because people always want to do, because I was actually at this appointment and I met this young lady because that's what we do. And we were talking about how everything is so compartmentalized.
Hmm.
You go see the kidney doctor over here, and then you go see the neurologist over here, and then you go see the cardiologist here. You see your rheumatologist here, and then you see the oncologist here, and any other ologist you need to see, you see, you know,
Hmm.
and everybody's giving you different shit. Nobody's paying attention to what you already taken.
Yeah.
Sometimes they give you two different doctors give you the same thing,
Yeah.
and it's like that same way in life.
Hmm.
We're so busy with compartments in our life.
Mm,
till nobody's really looking at the whole,
yeah.
and it boggles my mind to see, you know, how we do,
Yeah.
and for me, like when I started coming out of the spiritual closet, girl, I got so much hate.
Mm,
And it was really hard for me because I am not a person like that. Like I don't really even have hate in me. If I say I hate somebody, it's real bad. I'm that kind of person,
uh-huh.
but I do have a Scorpio, I'm a Scorpio. But so yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like, I had told somebody, I said, what are you talking about? One girl's gonna be talking about you the devil and you need Jesus. I said, apparently you do. Apparently
Oh
that's
gosh.
your thing. You need that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. People, well, we've been indoctrinated, with a lot of different things. And
Yes.
if you've built your entire life, if your entire life has hinged on something,
Yes.
it really does become hard to step away. And listen, I get a lot of people now that want to, debate and argue, and I understand, because when I was in it, I was in it. I was just thinking about this story the other day, earlier today, Tammy, that I was so entrenched when I was in college. I took a women in religion course.
Oh Lord.
I took the course because I was going to let them know that Jesus was the only way. And because I knew they were in there talking about the God is this and that. And I was going to set them straight. Can I tell you, after about 3 weeks in the class, the teacher said, can you just write a paper and not come back to class? Like that's how antagonistic I was, because I was raising my hand. I was everything they said. She's like, you can just write a paper. You don't even have to take the exam. Just write a paper and do not come back to class. That's right. So I get it why people are very defensive and they're going to fight for Jesus. And I'm like, all this. I'm like, yeah. So I have a lot of compassion,
Yeah.
because I know what that's like.
Yeah.
But I also know that a lot of those people that are mad or that they're angry about it, it's fear, because on the back of their mind, they know that something's telling them, no, it's not right. No, that's not true. The fact that, the fact that somebody's telling you were born into sin and a person that created you sees you as sinful and as unworthy. What a horrid thing to tell people, first of all. But there's something within us that knows that that's not right.
If you think about it, think about the fairy tales. Hansel and Gretel got burned up in the oven. I mean, come on. You
Well, the
know,
Bible, yeah, well, a lot of the Bible stories are not much like that. I'll tell you one
that's
thing.
what I'm saying. That's what
My sister and I laughed about this because I said, we've been duped. So, the story about the Tower of Babel.
yeah.
And it says, that God, said, oh, if they work together and they build it as high, they're going to reach us. So
Yeah.
let's scatter their language so that they won't be
Yes.
able. And we've been our whole lives, we've been, oh yeah, that's what happened.
And
And
that's
one day
right.
it dawned on me, there's no way they could have ever built anything that high.
Because
It's
what were
not
they going to use?
well, it's not physically possible. How is it physically possible for people on earth to build a tower that's going to reach God?
So if you think about it, who the fuck wrote that thing?
Exactly. It's like that can't
And
even, it's something
and
that
what
can't even
it was
happen.
just like you said, it was used for that purpose.
And Neville Goddard is a New Thought teacher.
Oh, I love
Um,
him.
yeah, well, he's the first one that really helped me appreciate the Bible, because it was the first time I felt like I had permission to realize that the Bible, it can be seen as literature. It was never meant to be taken literally. Because if you take it literally, there's some lies in there, like the whole Tower of Babel. Like, really? Really? You're going to confuse all the languages so that people for thousands of years are not going to be able to talk to each other and have this animosity, because you don't want them to be able to build something that's going to reach heaven, which is physically impossible. We got spaceships now that can't even reach it. So all the
Well,
way back then,
I guess the other part of that is, I mean, who's been there to come and tell about it? You know what I mean?
right? But it's the fairy tale. It's the stories. And listen, what I believe, because somebody says, if you talk about how you don't believe this, well, what do you believe? Well, one of the things I do believe is that it was man telling stories to try to explain what they knew the best they could. And so that's why when you look at the stories in the Old Testament, even the New Testament, everything is so man-made.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
only way that God could have done this was to do this,
yeah.
right? The only way he could have paid for your
The
sins was to
the big
crucify
God,
somebody.
the big God.
Yeah, the all-powerful, all-knowing. He had to put his child on a cross and tack him to the cross and bleed and die. Do you realize how archaic that is? But if that's all you
If you
know,
think about it, you're right. Because just now I thought about the story about Isaac,
oh my gosh.
putting Abraham putting the son down, and then God stopping him from killing him and all this kind of stuff. And I did not even think about that until you just said that.
Oh, that's one of my
It's like,
pet peeve
so
stories.
God got that's how God got to make sure that you're gonna be obedient.
That one of the things that bothers me about that story so much is I think about Isaac. Think about the terror. If this is a true story, think
Right.
about the terror of watching your parent over you with a dagger
Yeah.
to sacrifice you. That messes your mind up.
For generations.
Exactly. So when you think about the thing, my other pet peeve, and I know we're getting to our time here, but I'll share this pet peeve that this irks me because I hope this will help free somebody who's listening,
Yeah, yeah,
is the story of Job.
yeah,
So first of all, it talks about how God and the devil are having this conversation. I'm like, how the hell? Like we're not worthy enough to see God's glory, but the devil gets an audience with you so that you're having a conversation. Look at my servant Job. And the devil says, well, he's only praising you because he has all this stuff. So God says, let me prove a point. Let me take all the stuff away. One of the things that God takes away, he kills all of Job's children.
yeah. Hmm.
And I remember having this conversation with my mom. And I said, okay, so he was proving a point with Job. What about Job's wife? Those were her children. She had nothing to do with this. So you mean to tell me this all knowing, all powerful God killed her children to prove a point to the devil?
Yeah, I don't believe it.
And then my mom said this. She said, but at the end of it, Joe, he gave him more kids. I said, I know you still want some bullshit now. Okay. I didn't say that to her, but I was thinking it in my mom because she's my mom and I was respectful. Mama, that's some bullshit. So you're telling me that if you lost me as your child,
It
you
would
would
be
be
okay if you
okay
just have
because you
another
got
one.
some more kids? You be okay because you got some more kids later.
Right. Hmm.
That's the God that you want me to bow down to. No, it doesn't make sense. Who
What you
would
said,
do
I
that?
can't do it.
Who would do that? Why would a loving, all powerful, all knowing God do that and still expect to be worshipped as all loving and all knowing and all powerful? Doesn't make any sense. And I
See, and you just set somebody free. Because to me, I have not even, and I've thought about this stuff
Mhm.
a lot. I actually had opened up a group because I was like, I'm sick of it. But I've thought about this stuff a lot, but that was a whole nother level. Because I
Yeah.
mean, because it makes you wonder, because you think about these things,
Uh-huh.
growing up, especially when you listen into the stories and stuff. That sounds far-fetched, you know what I mean? But then you say, but it is supposed to be God, the
Yeah.
big, powerful. Oh, wait, I forgot. Not that God. The small one that can't heal and can't do nothing.
Oh
That one.
my gosh.
The small
Yeah.
one that they come and talk to every Sunday about the same thing because I guess
Yeah.
he's retarded and he don't remember.
Yeah. When you finally start putting it together, it's very freeing because and one of the other things I realized too, we spend a lot of time trying to justify and rationalize why God doesn't answer us.
Oh, yes,
Know?
yes.
We're praying for things and oh well, you asking for the wrong reasons, or it's because God has something better for you, or because you need to learn this lesson. In all these ways we rationalize. And I remember thinking, well, if I'm praying for God to stop abuse from happening in my situation, why is he not responding? And so now I'm trying to justify because you helped that team win their football game. You helped Sister So and over there, so and so over there, find her parking spot and get her keys. But I'm like, can you stop this dude from kicking my ass?
Look, but I'm getting my behind beat and you won't stop.
Right? And you want, and not just for me as an adult person, but as a children that are praying.
Okay, what about the children that die and they say that God needed
Oh my gosh.
another flower in their garden or some
Uh,
crap?
I mean, he ain't got enough. I mean, he can create some more.
I'm
Serious,
like,
but you
but
start to realize how
do you
ridiculous
have
it
to
is.
take your child for that? I mean, that just makes no sense. I've
We,
never
yeah,
understood.
we rationalize and we try to make it make sense. And here's what it did when it freed me. Because here's what happened. I said, you know what? If I have to rationalize this, it crushes me. But when I realize, oh, he's not answering because he doesn't exist. Oh, okay. It was very free because otherwise I'm trying to figure out, well, why doesn't God answer my prayers? Why is he doing it for somebody else, but he's not doing it for me? There must be something wrong with me. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, he never exists. He doesn't exist. Oh, it has nothing to do with me. He's not real. It was the most freeing and liberating thing because then I could say, okay, had nothing to do with a personal vendetta, had nothing to do with me being generationally cursed, had nothing to do with any of that stuff, which now frees me to say, okay, you know what? How can I heal this? I ain't got to beg and plead and wait on somebody to rescue. And no, what can I do to heal this?
That is so real.
Change my life.
It had to, because you think about it. I used to say, why do people go to the altar on Sunday? You go up to the altar, right? And you call for Jesus and whatever it is that you do, wherever you do. But you go to the altar. And I used to say, they take their bag of shit to the altar with them and they sit it down. Jesus, Jesus, pray. Lord, I know you can do it. You can fix it. You can help me. You can heal her, whatever. And then they get up and they pick up their bag and take it back with them. I'm telling you, it's like, so why do you go? I
Yeah.
actually told somebody that one time. I said, why do you go?
Yeah.
Because when you come back, you still depressed. You still got all kinds of stuff going on. You
And
know,
have no idea how to fix any of it.
that's what I was gonna say. You
And
don't
it
have
don't
any
matter how
idea.
many Bible verses you memorize. Because trust me, I was on that track. Let me quote this scripture. It wasn't changing anything. It wasn't healing me. It made me that dopamine rush.
Wait, you were speaking the word?
Oh, yes. And
Just
it's
speak the
funny.
word on it, sister. Just speak the word on it.
It's funny. Somebody on Facebook told me they wrote and they said, well, for all the mockery, you're mocking God. He's gonna come visit you because you're mocking him. I said, you mean to tell me all I had to do was mock him all these years for him to show up? I would have mocked him years if I knew mocking him was going to get him to actually make himself visible to me and show up in my life in a major way. I would have mocked him years ago because I've been praying, fasting, crying, speaking in tongues, dancing, worship. I've been doing all of that, reading
Laying
the
before the
Bible,
Lord.
and he never showed up. But mock him and he'll deal with me. Oh, that's why didn't you tell me sooner?
What you say? I'll wait.
Yeah, yeah, been waiting.
That's so funny.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I did not actually think that this was how this conversation was going to go, but it's been so fire. And as you said, it's been so free,
Hmm.
because it's this conversation can be difficult to have,
Yeah.
but I'm here for it. I love having these conversations because people need to hear. And it's like I was watching what was I watching? I was watching Outer Range.
Hmm.
It's on Amazon. So it's like got the second season. And this show, it's like a big hole that they jump into and they can time travel.
Oh,
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And so they've time traveled. And so we're watching the show, but we're watching it in like three different dimensions.
okay.
And it was so interesting. So like there was one thing going on in this one and one thing going on in this one. And this one came from that dimension to this other one.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
I'll have to check it out.
Have to. It's so interesting because like the one girl goes back to that she's a Native American and she
Hmm.
goes back to like 1886. But the
Yeah, we know it
crazy
was.
thing is in the when she went back to 1886, she thought she was there for 4 years, But in our time, she was only gone for like a few days.
Oh, wow.
She had went missing.
That's good.
She had been gone for 4 years. So the time difference was different in the
Yeah.
different dimensions.
That reminds me of one of Octavia Butler's books. She's
I
a
can
Black
see
science
that.
fiction writer. I think it's Kindred. I think that might be Kindred, where the woman
Yes, yes,
back in
yes, yes,
slavery and she's there for a longer period of time. Yeah, so
yes,
okay, very
yes,
interesting. I'm gonna have to check
yes,
that
yes. It's on Hulu.
out. Okay,
Yes,
I will
yes,
check that
yes,
out.
yes, yes. You got to check it out because
Yeah.
when I started looking at it, I was like, okay, because the woman, she, she stumbles into 1886,
Hmm.
and there's another woman that's there. Of course, she's speaking English, and they're about to shoot her behind, but then she speaks a little bit
Oh,
of,
don't give me the spoiler. Don't give me the spoiler.
but the thing I was saying about it was when you looked at that and you saw the result of colonization. That's what I was
Mm,
going to say.
yeah.
And so the one's there, she's there from 1972. She got
Okay.
stuck over there. And so girl, they called her Falling Star. So
Mm.
anyway, she talks, the other one is a sheriff, and she said, the white people let you do that? And she said, in our time, kind of,
Wow. Uh,
right? And I was like, wow.
yeah.
And it just made me think. I was like, okay, look at this,
Yeah.
and they're over there because they're you know how they do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some coming home.
That speaks to the I know we got to wrap up, but that speaks to the ancestral stuff. And I'm glad to come back and talk about some of that stuff because I've started tapping
Absolutely.
into that side of things as well. But in doing ancestral work and healing some of the things that our ancestors and some of the wounds that our ancestors have never gotten healed. And so we're still
Yes.
seeing, and that's one of the things like people say generational curse, and it's not actually a curse,
No,
but it is a generational
it's
pattern and it's trauma from the generations that we haven't healed, right?
girl,
So we can do a whole other conversation on that. I'm
you're
glad to come
taking me
back.
back to my church days. I was about to jump up and shout. Because that's something else too
Mm,
that I've been diving into because it's like I know that there's so many things and we have had it the worst. I tell
yeah.
people, I'm like, yeah, other people have had slavery. Yes, they have, and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I had actually found out that the first lady that they killed, that they hanged in my hometown in Savannah,
Uh-huh.
was an Irish indentured servant.
Mm.
Her and her boyfriend killed their master. So they are
Wow.
there. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting, because I
Yeah.
love history and stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's amazing when you see the results of colonization all over the
Yeah.
world. And
Yeah.
they use religion to do it.
It's a huge,
And they got
huge
us
thing.
so hard. And the thing
Mhm.
is they not only got us, but they got Africa.
They got Africa, they got a whole bunch of third
You
world
see that those
countries
big old
sitting with
white
it.
Jesuses that they have up?
Yeah.
I can't with that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't.
Oh wow, this has been such a great conversation, Tammy. Like I said, I'm so open to coming back and talking about a few other topics. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, do you have any wrap-up questions for me?
Yes, I have to ask you the question that I ask everyone before we leave. Matter of fact, what I want you to do is I want you to say something to the person that you work with. So like if
Hmm.
it's the type of person that you're working with,
Yeah.
I want you to say something to encourage them. And then I also want you to answer this question. If there was anything in the world that you could change, what would that be?
Mm. Oh, goodness.
And anything that you're doing, like if you have
Yeah.
something that you're enrolling or something you want to, put out there, you can do that this time.
If there was anything in the world that I could change, you know, I'd want people to be more curious than more judgmental.
Mm,
There's always going to be light and dark. That's just who we are. And I think it'd be, say, oh, I don't want any darkness or anything.
that's
But I,
naive.
I would want, yeah, and of course, we don't want people to be abused and all those kind of things. That's kind of a given. But, I'd want people to be more curious and ask questions instead of jumping to conclusions or instead of making assumptions, because that's how we get to change things and that's how we all get to grow. So outside of the big things that, and I'm sure you get a lot of those big things, but that's people want to change, but I'd want to see that changed in the world. And it ties into the people that I want to talk to, the people that I want to work with. We've got messages and stories that need to get out there. And so for all of you who have been thinking, well, who am I to say this? Who am I to tell my story? Who am I to speak up?
Right.
The time is now for you to speak up and to be that trailblazer, to be that advocate. You have that message, that inner nudge for a reason. 6 years ago, I started talking about this thing called an in rising.
Yes.
And the in rising, we've had these uprisings and out, rages and all those things happening, and it's always been external. And what we're seeing now is an in rising where people's intuition and our inner self is wanting more.
Yes.
And so if you've got that nudge, follow it and nurture it. And one of the things that we're doing, where I'm getting ready to do something called divinity lessons.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's us learning about our divinity. And
Yeah.
so I'll be talking with other women. I don't know everything. And I'm on a journey. I don't have all the answers. I don't need to have all the answers, but I've
No.
got some really great questions. And so, one of the first people that we're going to have is a woman that's going to talk about tarot, because we've been
Okay.
conditioned that tarot is the demonic and da 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 da. We don't know. I know, but a lot of us don't know because we've never really learned about it. We've never learned about African shamanism. We've never learned about the deities, right? The deities with the small g, because in our Eurocentric worldview, God with the capital G is the only God that exists. And no, he's actually a small g God, and his name is Yahweh. That's the God of the Bible, right? But we've given him that title of God as if there's no other deities ever existed. And that's not even true. That even the Bible says you shall have no other gods before me, indicating that there are other gods, right? But this
Well,
whole thing about the divinity lessons is that our opportunity to come together, and it's specifically for women of color in a safe space to ask questions and explore these different ways that we can connect to our own divine.
yes. I think
Yeah,
that is so powerful. And
yeah.
you know what? And I have gotten so many answers to that question that I mean, really, and every time I get an answer, they're all different
Yeah.
and they're all amazing. Like I had
Yeah,
one
and
lady that
as
said,
it should be.
one lady said nothing.
As it should
And
be. Yeah,
right, I was like, that's pretty good. So I just thought about that. But that's powerful, because we need spaces like that.
we do.
You know why? Because like I tell you, I was hard pressed to find a medium of color,
Hmm.
and so I started, going on a search to look just to see.
Yeah.
Because I've, like I said, I've interviewed mediums, psychics, channelers, you
Uh-huh.
name it. They've been on my virtual couch, and it's been amazing to do that. But I
Yeah.
wanted to showcase, some women of color that
Hmm.
are in this arena because
Yeah.
they have these gatekeepers, and a lot of times what I'm noticing is they have it for us.
Hmm.
And one of the things that, and I don't know if this is a me thing, and I just want to share it with you just because we're on this space. But I had a thing about, these people that are doing shamanism that are not indigenous
Hmm.
that in any way.
Yeah.
And that bothered me. And so I was trying to figure out why it bothered me so much. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And should I be bothered by that? Because it's like, for me, it almost feels like they steal so much, cultural
Mhm.
appropriations.
Yeah.
They steal so much, and it's like, you know, and so I actually, because somebody actually invited me to something, and I looked and I was like, oh no, see, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And so I thought I was like, well, you know, am I being
I think it's just our desire to have something that we connect with in a different way.
right?
I mean, when because I didn't even realize there was a whole separate thing for African shamanism.
Yes.
Right. And but I was researching because I was fascinated by it. But then, when I was taking a look for shamans to work with, I got a lot of South African shamans who don't look like us.
Yep.
And they're teaching and they're leading things. And I'm like, well, where are the people that look like me? Where are the people that have ties to my ancestors and my culture? I already am pissed about the fact that I can't go back 10 generations and find my people.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, I think that's what rubs us is, you start to see where things are getting right. And I'm sorry, I know we got to wrap up, but we see how much of us has been wiped out. And we
Yes.
don't want to perpetuate that. We really want something that's going to establish and solidify with who we are and who we have been as a people. And that's okay. It's
Yes,
okay.
because it really is, to me, it's almost like it was like an underground movement
Hmm.
because we always had our people that did these things. We all know that.
Yeah.
You had sister so and so because she could read you.
Hmm.
And then you had sister so and so, there this one was the prophet. So,
Yeah,
they're gonna tell you blah 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 and all this stuff. But we always had these things. We
we
always
did.
had these people in
Hmm.
our communities and stuff, but it's almost like we've been, underground.
We've been brainwashed to call it something else than what it is. We've been told that it was demonic when it was actually just spirit. It was
See,
actually just who we are.
I
So
want to dispel those myths. That's what
yeah,
I am doing. That's
yeah.
what
But that's what
that's
you
what I
that's what
do to
you are
love.
doing. Yeah, that's what you are doing by having these conversations and
Yeah.
by taking, blazing a trail for people to tell their stories. So I really appreciate you, creating this opportunity to share and to put this out into the universe so people can find it and they can embark on their own journey.
Yes.
Appreciate
Yes. Thank you. And I appreciate you because I've been watching you
it.
and I've been waiting to get you on my virtual couch. And I'm so grateful that you have come.
Yeah.
We're gonna land this plane though. And I'm super, super, super excited that we had this conversation. And I hope that, you guys that are listening and watching, have gotten so much out of it because I have. I'm ready to go back and watch again and take notes. But thank you so much for coming. And thank you all for watching, joining, listening, and make sure that you like, share, and subscribe wherever you get to catch this. It's on Spotify, Apple, Google, anywhere that you can get your podcast. iHeartRadio. I found out it was on Audibles. I'm super excited. So anywhere that you can get your podcast, you can listen to this one. And also you can watch it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. And wherever you're watching it, you can see you'll get heard details in the show notes. And that is, to me, that's amazing that we have this platform that we can do this. That I can talk to you across the country and people around the world can watch us. I think it's just nothing short of amazing. And to me, that's God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, thank you for watching, listening, wherever you are in the world. And I hope that your day is magical. Bye now.